When you first find out there's Huntington's disease in your family, it can be a really confronting and scary time, and that's okay. And from my experience, I find people often go one of two ways. They either hide and pretend it doesn't exist, or they do what they need to do to build their HD support team and build that network around them. And from our experience, this is always the best option and leads to the best outcomes for you. One member of your HD support team should always be your local GP. Build a relationship with them, get to trust them, get to know them, and let them have the opportunity to get to know you. This is important for any changes that you may have in the future. When you're ready, it's always a good time to think about connecting to your Huntington's disease specialist. They're the people that you can go to if you have more specific questions about Huntington's disease that perhaps your family doctor, your GP can't answer. However, your GP can help you make that referral, and there's also us. We can also help connect you to a HD specialist. There is one thing that you can do now, and that's to consider your financial and legal situation and think about who you may want to appoint as your enduring power of attorney for medical or financial decisions in the future. We practice what we preach here, and no one knows what's going to happen, so it's really a good opportunity to get those things in place now, whilst you've got control and can make the decisions for yourself about who you trust to make those decisions on your behalf. No matter how you're impacted by Huntington's disease, it's important to look after your own mental and emotional well-being. This could include seeking professional help. It could include maintaining all of your hobbies or maintaining employment. It's important to think of these things on a daily basis and to remember to look after yourself. It might get to a point in time where you think you might benefit from a little bit of an additional support. There are things that you can do, such as NDIS pre-planning, that will give you an opportunity to think about all the things that you may need to help you maintain your independence, whether that be at home, out in the community, or even in employment. When it gets to that point in time, please give us a call so we can walk you through this process. There may be a time that you'll need to engage some other services, some community services or allied health services, all of which are there to help you to maintain your independence. You might also find that these people have not had experience with Huntington's disease before, and that's okay, because there are services like us, through our information and education program, that can provide them with the necessary information and knowledge they need to best support you. You can find further information about how to build your support team on our website, or you can give us a call on 9818 6333.
My name's Jess. I'm a speech pathologist and I work with people who have Huntington's disease. I think it's important to potentially have an idea of what kind of team you might need in terms of allied health, mental health support, and get those people around you early, even if you don't need them straight away. It's a good idea to just have a baseline level of how you're functioning so you can measure that over time and then account for things that might happen later on down the track. One of the big things is no two people with Huntington's are going to have the same set of issues. So just because you've seen a family member go through something or a certain change in a certain way doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen for other members of the family that way. And it's not possible to predict what changes are going to happen when. So it is serious, and having a support team around you, even just, while we're anticipating changes, is really important for when changes do happen and we can account for them. I work in a residential care facility, and the best model of care I have seen is when all members of the health care team and the mental health support team are working together and have frequent contact and are designing treatment plans with the person all together. It's very difficult when treating teams and allied health teams and medical teams don't communicate. And that's a really important thing to make sure of, is that those people are talking to each other, because everything that the OT and the physio does is important for what I do, and everything the neuropsych does is important for what I do, and vice versa. That's really important.
Hi, my name's Sue. My family has Huntington's disease and I've been involved with it for 25 years. My husband started showing symptoms at the age of 38. He was officially diagnosed when he was 42. My son Matthew has recently been diagnosed at the age of 32. My husband was diagnosed in 2004 and we're now 2020, so that's a huge difference in years and what was available back then to what's actually available now. We didn't really have any help with my husband while he was at home, whereas Matthew, we've got things put in place and we can basically foresee what's going to come up and what Matthew actually needs, and just being able to access that early for him, just to make a huge difference for his life compared to my husband's. It's very important to build a team around you, and it's not only for the person with HD. For me, you know, I look at it as dragging this little cart around, and one minute the wheel falls off and I need help to get it back on again, you know, whether it's someone, you know, whether it's counselling for myself or whether it's someone from Huntington's Victoria. Friends are really important as well, really good friends, and family to support you. I think for Matthew, he's got the support because he was diagnosed early. Whereas with my husband, he was in denial to start with, but nothing could be done back then unless you're actually diagnosed in order to get some help. And there wasn't really much in the way of help. There was the association there, but yeah, you just didn't know where to go. When they're not diagnosed, people are saying, oh, look, you know, there's something wrong with your husband, or you know there's something wrong with him, but there's nothing that you can do about it. So my probably biggest thing is getting diagnosed earlier, getting the supports in place, and just keep looking for help. The support that Matthew is getting now is just, I only wish we had that back when my husband was diagnosed. And even Matthew himself says that he's very, very lucky, really, to have those supports in place, and so many people that care about him and that want to help him as well. You know, we've got access now to speech therapist, physiotherapist, you know, legal advice. I think Maurice Blackburn, you know, give you some free legal advice on how to go about things. Yeah, so building your network, your friends, and just reaching out, I suppose, to the association, people like Tammy and all the case managers. Yeah, absolutely game changer for everyone.
Hi, my name is Val and I've been involved in the Huntington's community for quite a while. My father-in-law had Huntington's and subsequently passed away. My husband was gene positive and became symptomatic, and going by my father-in-law, we learned a lot of things, like the things that we didn't want to do. We involved our kids very early on in that Randall was, you know, one day going to be symptomatic and that he was gene positive. We made a big thing about wanting to keep him in the family home and having that focus on family, that he was a part of our family. Why would we send a family member away to then go and visit him? So we concentrated on what we needed to do that kind of thing, and that was like have good support around. It was my kids, as they were getting older, was great support. My family, extended family members, we got a good GP in, and we just made ourselves like have a lot of knowledge about HD and what it took. There was days when it was so hard and such a struggle, but we just continued on and we'd face each day as it come with what challenge arose on that day. And we kept a lot of humour in doing that, and that's what got us through. Through Huntington's Victoria, Randall was able to get the independent support package. That really opened things up for him and also for myself. We got carers in, we got equipment that we needed, like a commode and a wheelchair, which we wouldn't have had access to that if it wasn't for that package. It allowed me to be able to go out and mix with my girlfriends and just have a break. So those things are really important. If you can get onto those kind of things earlier on rather than later, they do make a big difference in your life as well as the person who has Huntington's, obviously. Randall did go to a few community groups in the beginning. He didn't love them, but he did go. They're a bit old for him, so that's the thing that I did find a bit of a struggle, is there wasn't much out there for someone with Huntington's. That's something that I'm passionate about and would like to see in the future, that there's more of a group or something where people are more understood with Huntington's and not just lumped together with elderly people. And that's why we had a big push for keeping Randall at home, because the alternative was a nursing home, and he would have been with people that were like 3 times older than him. And he was very clever and quick-witted, and right till the end he was clever and quick-witted, and he would have been so unhappy and not fulfilled living in a nursing home. So I struggle sometimes because I don't know what that answer is, but I do think about it constantly and what we're able to do moving forward, like to help people with Huntington's.